My name's Gabe Newell. I work at Valve. We're announcing a bunch of different products and technologies here at GDC. And the thing that sort of ties them all together is they're tools for us to try to keep PC gaming moving forward. I mean, PC gaming's been doing great. If you look at our Steam business, it's grown 50% year over year, and that tracks pretty closely to what's happening in the overall PC gaming market.
Sunlight!
So when we try to think of what we can do, we try to pick sort of longer term bets that we can make, things that will enable lots of people, in our world to continue to do stuff. If you look at what's happening on the hardware side, we get great year-over-year improvements in CPUs and GPUs. We see 20% year-over-year declines in bandwidth costs, right? So people get worried that maybe, the internet service providers are somehow going to strangle, innovation and so on, but there's no evidence of that. Consumers are very much in the driver's seat in terms of bandwidth. You have lots of innovative things like, high refresh monitors, 4K, 5K resolutions, G-Sync and FreeSync. You have the rise of user-generated content, right? I mean, Amazon bought Twitch for $1.1 billion, and it's because they recognize how much PC gamers are entertaining each other, right? It's actually just as much fun for me to watch Dendy play Dota as it is for me to play Dota. People in our industry sort of know what's happening there, but people outside of it are kind of surprised that, like, the League of Legends Championship actually had more people watching it than the World Series did, right? That's how fast that's going. When you look at sort of, workshop integration, there's something that we really believe in, that like the guys at Epic, who are also part of this demonstration, believe in, is that figuring out how to make each player's experience and actions more valuable to other people leads you to sort of think about how can we make user-generated content more feasible, not just being a good multiplayer, or not just streaming yourself on YouTube or Twitch, but also building models, building maps, finding other ways that you can be valuable to the other people in the community. So it's like $57 million so far since we've introduced workshops into Steam games have gone to community creators. And that leads to one of the first announcements we're doing, which is that we're announcing that Source 2 is going to come out, and that it's going to be free. Anybody who sees it as a valuable tool for developing a new game and shipping it, there's no license fee, there's no royalty, they can use it. If other engine manufacturers see stuff in it that's useful to them, well, they can integrate it into their engines as well. So the focus for us with Source 2, so Source was the game that we used to build Half-Life and Left 4 Dead and Team Fortress and Dota, and Source 2 takes all of that, does it better, but the big focus really is on productivity. It's making creators more productive. But it's not just professional developers, it's gamers as well. The way we sort of think of it is that there's kind of this role-playing game that everybody plays, which is you start off playing single-player games, and then you level up and you can play multiplayer games and you're a fun person to play with. But you just keep moving up, sort of the talent tree until you're making games and entertaining people that way. And that's why one of the reasons that we think just making Source 2 freely available to people is an important step. If you look at what, between the announcement that Unity has made, that Epic has made, Tim just did his keynote, it really puts the PC front and center as the premier content authoring platform. Another thing that's important to us is it sounds kind of like a strange thing to do, but it makes sense, I think, if you look at it in terms of the overall PC industry, is we're supporting Vulkan. So Vulkan is previously known as OpenGL Next. It was, from our point of view, you have lots of interesting stuff happening in graphics technology right now, but it tends to be restricted to a specific platform or to a specific vendor's hardware products. And Vulkan solves that problem. It's a cross-platform, it works on Mac, Linux, Windows, Steam OS. It's going to be supported by, Valve and Blizzard and Epic and Unity, and it works, with NVIDIA graphics hardware or ATI's graphics hardware or whomever. We're actually going to make a Vulkan driver release for the Intel integrated graphics. So it'll be source code that anybody can use. If you're a software developer and you want to understand what's happening on the inside of your graphics pipeline, you can look at it. Or if you're a hardware manufacturer and you want a reference design that you can build off of. And that's just how we're trying to support the Kronos Group's efforts to make Vulkan a cross-platform solution. Now, the next thing, in sort of the little pyramid of blocks that we're making, are this Steam machines. And this November, what we're going to have is we're going to have good solutions for people sort of in kind of good, better, best price points. I think everybody's familiar with sort of the middle category, at the same price point as consoles, except higher performance. What we're also going to be releasing this November is Steam Link. So Link is a $49.95 product that runs at 1080p, 60 hertz with low latencies. And it says if you have a Steam machine, or if you have a Windows machine or a Linux machine or a Mac, you can now, for $49.95, play all that content on any of your televisions. So that's the Link. You can see it's, supports Wi-Fi, supports RJ45 connectors, HDMI, power, cables are all in the box. You basically plug it in, and you pause a game in where you've got your PC. You walk over to your television, unpause it, and continue playing.
The first game we're going to show you here is the Talos Principle. It's one of our successful games from last year from a small indie team in Croatia. You might know them better as the authors of Series Sam. So here they're switching genres and bringing us this cool puzzle game experience. So here this is running at 1080p, 60 hertz on this Alien Warrior machine. This is the entries queue at 479. So we'll just get you in game to get comfortable with the controller, camera controls, and so here we set up the right touchpad of the controller as sort of a virtual trackball. So it gives you a good example of how we can virtualize basically any input device into the touchpads of the controller. So to do that, we use haptics to give you feedback that corresponds to the current input device that is being emulated. Developers will also have full control over the haptics. So if they want to convey like spatial information or context stuff from the game, they can do that as well if they write directly for the Steam controller.
So here we have a case where, you've got these new 120 hertz 4K monitors, and rather than having to wait 5 or 6 years for another iteration of the console life cycles, we're already taking advantage of it. So when Epic was thinking about Unreal Tournament, they were like, well, we don't think the controllers work particularly well for the kinds of games we want to do, and we're all about visual fidelity, and we're already pushed way beyond what they can do. So I think Epic was kind of excited about the fact that the living room was catching up to Epic faster than they had originally thought. So this is Wes from Epic.
So what you're seeing here is this is the pre-alpha version of Unreal Tournament. We've been working on it for about a year or so. It's a really open source, sort of community-driven project, which, as we announced this week, Unreal Engine is free, makes it awesome to work with SteamOS. We package right into SteamOS. There's no barriers. And as you can see here, this game is running in 4K at 60 hertz. It's silky smooth. And it's the kind of experience that, in the past that maybe you would only suspect to see, when you're scrunched over your monitor. So, we see this here as, one of the future avenues of really the sort of high end of gaming. And, this map is a good example of that this week. Outpost 23, we released at Tournament.com.
So, one of the things that we think is interesting, we're going to look at a game that's 15 years old, right? Even though this game is 15 years old and Looking Glass is no more, it's still, as a PC gamer, you're playing it with Link, and you're using a Steam controller. What is cool to us is that even though Looking Glass is no more, This is a game, System Shock 2, that's being kept alive by its community, right? If you can keep this an entire game alive just because of what people are contributing, it's a way of getting people outside of the PC gaming space to sort of marvel at, why this focus of ours on user-generated content, and the fact that the experience really comes out of the community, not just out of the game development team. The other thing is, and this is get ready for the theatrical transition, is 15 years ago they were trying to think of what VR would look like, right? So, the best and brightest people at Looking Glass, and who's the progeny of that company, have spread throughout our industry. This was their take on what VR would be like, and now you guys get to see what our take is 15 years later on VR. So a little high five, knitting that together.
There was that link there, the Steam link.
Link it all together.
That one's on me.
You opened the valve on your creativity.